and welcome to New York Comic Con's Metaverse event, where we are continuing to break the fourth wall to bring convention entertainment to the comfort of your own home. I am Victor Dandridge, the hardest working man in comics, and it is my pleasure to bring to you Kid Normal, ladies and gentlemen. Joining us today, we've got authors Greg James and Chris Smith. Hello, guys. How are y'all doing today?
Hey, Victor. Very good. Thank you.
Excellent, we're great. Excellent. Thanks for having us on.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. So listen, what we're about to do is we're about to go behind the scenes of their Kid Normal series to reveal the inspirations behind some of the heroes and villains that have made their award-winning books such a hit. So let's jump right into it. First and foremost, how is 2020 treating you guys right now?
Wow. That's a big question to begin with, Victor.
I mean, we try to start off on the high notes.
Yeah, I guess we are surviving. And we are trying to chat to each other as much as possible, look after our nearest and dearest as much as possible, try and write together. We're trying new ways of writing. We're meeting in the park quite a lot. We bought little deck chairs and we sit in the park.
That sounds super clandestine.
It is, yeah, it is. we sit in under a tree in the park in little chairs, and we try and, I guess like everyone, we're trying to power through and try and be creative at a time when actually you feel like you want to be the complete opposite. But you have to try and stay positive. And I guess that's what our writing's all about, is, overcoming adversity. So we're trying to be as Murph Cooper, who's our main character, we're trying to be as Murph Cooper as possible.
I love it. Be more Murph. That's definitely our mantra. I mean, publishing a book during lockdown was kind of weird because Kid Normal and the Final Five came out in April while everyone in the UK was locked down. So normally we'd be out at schools, meeting kids, doing live shows, doing our stage shows, singing songs, going to bookshops and doing signings. So everything has been done over Zoom, but that's 2020 for you. So we talk to as many people as we can. But
that's how you gotta. Yeah, you got to pivot, which is fantastic. Okay, so speaking of Murph, the star of the Kid Normal series, he's an ordinary kid that gets enrolled in a superhero school, a secret superhero school. Where did the inspiration for that come from?
Well, I guess the inspiration kind of didn't start with superheroes, really. I guess the inspiration just came from that first day at school feeling, which I think we all remember really well, where you turn up at school and you turn up at the gates on your first day, and you're kind of scared that the other kids are going to be better at everything than you, and there are going to be kids that are good at football, and there are going to be kids that are amazing at maths, and there are kids that are going to be the funny kids, and you think like, well, who am I? What's my thing? And we both remembered feeling a bit like that. And when we were talking about writing a story for that age group, we just thought, well, what if we blow it up a bit? And instead of having the kids that are good at maths, why don't we have kids that can fly? And instead of the kids that are good at football, we can have kids that have super strength. And once we came up with this idea of a superhero school and this kind of fish out of water kid, poor old Murph, we just really felt we were ready to start writing the story, because we immediately said to each other, well, what are the teachers like at superhero school? What are the lessons like at superhero school? What do they have for lunch at superhero school? And before we knew it, we kind of were mapping out the whole story. And that's when you know you have a good idea, I think.
Oh, absolutely. What is one of your favorite lunches from the superhero school, though?
Well, for me, it was meatballs, and there's a meatball fight in the first book, and it's that's Murph's favorite lunch at school, and I remember the excitement of a spaghetti bolognese coming out. I think maybe it was a Monday to try and really help us out to start the week, and I remember the joy of seeing a full sort of tray of spaghetti bolognese and thinking, wow, this was worth coming to school just for that.
You know what? And, I mean, a Spaghetti Monday, I have to agree.
Spaghetti Mondays, that's it. Yeah.
So I think lunch at my school called Spanish meatballs, which were like a weird giant meatball with rice in them. And I've been to Spain quite a lot. I have never. I think it's just something that the chefs at my school just made up. They had
Good. That's good imagination, though, right?
Right. So, yeah. Maybe depends on how wide that imagination went. Yes, it's meatballs. You're like, what is it? Meat. Yes.
Yeah, mystery meat.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so you both work in radio. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so how did that kind of shape you getting into the book market? Were you already building off of an established fan base?
Well, yeah, to a certain extent. Although one of the joys of writing these books has been going to events and going to do events at schools and book signings and various festivals and whatever, and the kids not having any idea that we do the radio, and they just like the stories, and they're like, oh right, you guys are on the radio, are you? So yeah, well, Chris and I met years ago now, nearly 13. Can you believe it, Chris? 13 years ago.
A long time ago.
Don't do the math. You get older when you do the math.
Yeah. And yeah, we met at a radio station in the UK called Radio 1. And Chris was doing the news on a show that I was hosting, and I'd been a fan of Chris's for a long time because Chris is a brilliant sort of radio person, great news. And I was like, oh my God, are you the Chris Smith that I've heard a lot about? And he was, and then we just did more stuff on the radio together, and we started doing a podcast together, and we have very similar sense of humor, and we like lots of similar things: Monty Python, Fawlty Towers, PG Woodhouse, to name just three silly things that we love. And we've always liked messing around on the radio together and coming up with silly characters, stupid voices, mad creations and mad worlds and all sorts of stuff. And we always wanted to write something. I guess individually we wanted to write something just because it's nice to write things. And we weren't sure whether that was going to be a comedy or a screenplay or whatever. And then we just thought, well, maybe we should write a story, because we grew up reading and we still love reading, obviously. And children's books are great ways to express yourself. And, there's something magical about the fearlessness of that age group, 8 to 12 years old, where they just don't worry about being cool. They just say the thing that's in their head, and it's more often than not quite funny. So we love that sort of fearless streak in our readers. So we sort of wanted to do a children's book, and it gave us sort of freedom, didn't it, Chris, to write whatever we wanted, the silliest, funniest, biggest, maddest adventure possible.
Right. And I think basically our sense of humor is about 12 years old. So we didn't really write a children's book. We just wrote a book, and we are basically children. So that's what happened.
Yeah.
That's very well said. Now, the notion of writing together, as a comic book writer myself, I do a lot of my work in my, private little cave here. So what is the process like when you are partnering with someone to create a narrative?
Well, it's been a little bit weirder this year, because we used to do a lot of writing in the pub, actually. Where you can just have ideas around. So as Greg said, we kind of had to do a bit more of it kind of outdoors in the park, sitting on our deck chairs. But, lots of songs and screenplays and TV shows are written by teams of people, and particularly, duos of people. And actually, we found that writing together is great, because you can never run out of ideas. When you're stuck on your own, sometimes you have that the blank page before you is a little bit terrifying, right? And you can kind of feel a bit stuck. Whereas if you have your friend sitting across the table from you, you can go, well, I don't really know where this scene goes next. I'll go and get another pint in, and you have a go.
It's your turn. Tag, you're up.
You go and walk around that pond. And and just chucking ideas around, I think more things come out of your brain than you realized were there.
I think also that our books are very dialogue heavy and very action heavy. So there's something really great about acting out those scenes while we're writing them. And we really benefit from, one of us will be Mr. Flash and the other will be Mr. Superman, or one of us will be Murph. And then the interaction between Murph and Mary is really nice to just play out. And that's really enjoyable, that we get to act out that dialogue, I guess, and write it, I suppose, like a comedy. And then you kind of, you go back and you obviously fill in the rest of it and descriptions. But it's really, I guess those bits are the stage directions to a certain extent. So we hadn't written a book on our own before, so we didn't know any different. And I guess if we did try and attempt to write a book on our own, it would be quite weird and quite lonely.
But I mean,
Greg, I'm stuck.
I got this idea. What do you think? But
yeah, I mean, do a thing about meatballs.
yes, brilliant. Well, one of the things, like from the writing style that you have, it's very visually minded. You guys do a great job of really creating the world that the characters exist within, and making sure that we understand through the nuance of vocabulary and the dialogue exactly the feeling and efforts of the characters. Are you guys sitting around with like a thesaurus, or are you just really that good at describing things in such a wide variety of ways?
Well, thank you for that very flattering question.
Oh, you're very welcome.
I think we do feel like we can see it all really clearly. Yeah, and I think that was what was nice about having done the first book and then going on to the others. You feel like, I know what these characters look like. I know what this school looks like. I know what the settings look like. And sometimes it feels like we're kind of, we're just trying to describe the picture in our head. So we do feel that it comes across really visually. Yeah, I can feel like I can really clearly see like this super prison that they have to go to, Shivering Sands, and I can see what the evil, wasp man Nectar looks like. But what's great about books is that's different in my head to what it's like in Greg's head, and it's what's different in every single reader's head. But it's equally clear for all of us, and that's the real kind of magic thing about books, right?
I also think there are some similarities between the skills you need on the radio and the skills you need on, for writing, because you offer up half the story to a radio audience, and they come back with the other bit. So you say the words, and you create an image with your words, and then they can visualize it. So I suppose, in a way, writing a book is similar, and we've learned how to describe things and how to color the world without actually physically coloring it. So that's been really helpful, because we describe things all the time. And the point about the vocabulary is very flattering. Thank you, Victor. But also we would deliberately don't want to ever write down to our readers, and they might be 8 or 9, or even younger if parents are reading it to them. But I think you read through words that you don't understand, and that's how you learn new words, isn't it? I mean, whenever I read a book now, I look up a word and I go, what is this? You learn new words the whole time. It doesn't put you off, or it shouldn't put you off a book, as long as it's not wordy and too dense. But I think with Kid Normal, we deliberately don't patronize the readers, because the whole point is that you get something out of it, whether it's a laugh or a new word, then that's kind of job done.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, you're working with Erica, who is bringing a lot of the characters to life with illustrations. Did you guys find her to work with, or was that something that was set up for you?
Most exciting piece of the process, or one of the most exciting pieces of the process, was picking an illustrator. And so what happened is the publisher sent a little paragraph about some of the main characters off to a few different illustrators, and they drew their idea of the characters. But Erica sent back a picture of Mary, the character who flies with her yellow umbrella, and Greg and I looked at that picture of Mary and went, that might as well just be a photograph of what Mary looks like now.
I love it.
Erica just absolutely gets it and loves the characters. I think Nellie actually is her favorite, the girl that doesn't really speak but summons thunderstorms. But Erica just absolutely got it straight away, and it was a one horse race after that.
I just want to confirm that. I want to confirm that Erica is a human, not a horse.
Oh yes. It's very, very important to know.
Yeah.
It's
more fun to imagine our illustrator as a horse.
How would you
with the hooves just kind of
really hard to put between
two hooves?
I guess you'd sort of do it like that, wouldn't you?
Yeah. That's what makes Erica such an amazing artist. You can't figure it out. It's like magic. So, okay, thinking of the characters, who are your favorite characters, and what are your favorite zany superpowers from the series? And just to kind of give everyone a rundown of who all we're talking about here, we've got Murph as Kid Normal, who besides his epic bravery, perhaps doesn't have any superpowers. We've got Hilda, and we pronounce that as Iguana. Is that how you do it?
Right.
Okay, wonderful. She summons two tiny horses, which is still one of the greatest things ever. We've got Mary Canary, and her flying umbrella. Kind of like when I first heard about Mary, I was like, I wonder if that's like a Mary Poppins reference at all.
Well, her name is Mary Perkins, and she flies with an umbrella. But we should point out she is nothing to do with Mary Poppins, which is copyright of the Disney Corporation.
Absolutely. No problems with the House of Mouse. No, thank you. We've got Billy Balloon Boy, who has anxiously inflating body parts, which I kind of understand that life. Okay, when I get nervous, sometimes body parts of mine just kind of whoop, whoop, it happens. I get it. We've got Nelly, Rain Shadow, who controls storm clouds. So who is your favorite?
I mean, I do. When you're describing them, I do love Billy because it does tap into. It sort of exemplifies perfectly what we were trying to do with this book, which was take a normal human feeling and then just make it mad and silly. So when you are nervous, you might get a hot ear or something. You might suddenly feel just hot, or you might feel like your nose is getting red or something. And that, so Billy, the silly version of that is, of course, it expands. I think it's hard not to say that Murph's your favourite because he's the main man.
He's the star.
I do love Mary. I'm gonna land on Mary because she is kind of the engine room of the book, really. And she, although Murph is the main guy, Mary is the one that's steering him and encouraging him and giving him confidence, I suppose. And I really like her. And she's just quite badass, is Mary.
Love it. I love it.
I love Hilda.
She can fly. I mean, amazing.
I'm going to give Hilda a shout out because Hilda's power, as you say, is to produce 2 tiny horses. Now, that's not kind of Avengers worthy as superpowers go. You know,
it could be. I don't know.
It could be, but so Mr. Flash, who is the fierce teacher at the school who takes the class called capability training, because superpowers are called capabilities or capes in Kid Normal. So Mr. Flash is the very fierce teacher that takes capability training, and he thinks Hilda's superpower is the most rubbish, terrible thing he's ever heard in his life. He's like, you're ever going to be a hero. But Hilda has a very lovely message about self-confidence, because as far as she's concerned, why would anybody want another superpower than hers? Producing her 2 tiny horses, Artax and Epona, is the thing that she loves to do. And that's what makes her a hero. It's her pride in herself rather than her horses. So,
oh my God. I absolutely adore this. Okay,
Victor, can I just can I stop you, because I've got a real life Jeopardy story happening around me.
Oh, let's do it.
I have foolishly realised that it's autumn in the UK, or fall for the American viewers, and the light is fading. So can I go and put the light on, and also at the same time my battery is running out, so I'm just going to plug in and switch on. And you won't even notice I'm gone. But I'm just
do all the things.
I wanted to tell you that I'm on an adventure of my own. So I'll be right back.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
And get a glimpse under the hood. I mean, this is real.
I know, right? Like this is truly behind the scenes. Does this even happen on radio? Who knows? I don't know. He probably can't hear it, so I won't ask the hardcore questions. But considering some of the things that you're talking, Mr. Flash, Superman, Artax, you guys have a lot of pop cultural references throughout this entire series, and it's kind of amazing because it allows for kids to love it, but it also allows for adults to love it. Where did that come from? Like, why the references?
Partly just because I'm a colossal nerd, and I wanted to put loads of references in, and so there's loads of stuff in there which, as you say, will possibly go over the kids' heads. Possibly they'll get it when they're a bit older, but I love the idea of kids and adults reading stuff together. Me and my son, we've read books together when he was a little bit younger. It's just a really, really magical thing. And so I love the idea that when you're reading this as an adult, you will suddenly hear a little phrase or see a name. And it's like the authors are kind of just giving you a wink and saying, we're here with you, we're there. So I've got the screenplay here to A New Hope. So,
I love it.
For instance, intercom voice. Who is this? What's your operating number? Han blasts the comlink and explodes. Han, barring conversation anyway, yelling down the hall, Luke, we're going to get company. So this is Kid Normal and the Final Five. Mr. Tembo, come in, crackled the walkie-talkie from the floor. What's happening? We're sending a squad down. Hilda crushed the unit underneath her foot. Boring conversation anyway, she muttered to herself. Mary, we're going to get company. So there's little bits in there, which if you're as big a Star Wars fan as I am, you're going to just you're going to know the authors are there with you, kind of.
Of course, of course.
Can I just can I interject? And I'm just slightly. I'm back. You can see me now. Can can I just? I'm worried that we're going to get double sued by Disney.
Oh yeah, but it's a loving homage.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Because you have to know about it in order to know about it. Okay, you're not taking anything away under any circumstance.
Right.
I would be more so worried about the ravaging fans of the Neverending Story with you bringing back Artax. But that's just me. That was.
It's a climactic and very tragic moment in all our lives, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So, maybe we can expunge some of those feelings. We can all. It's like we're all doing like group therapy.
That's really what the writing process is all about. So what were some of your favorite books or comics when you guys were growing up?
Well, I loved all the fancy stuff. So I loved The Hobbit, and I loved Lord of the Rings, and all that kind of thing. So when Greg and I first were planning to write something together, I said, "Oh, we've got to do like Game of Thrones for 9-year-olds," and he was like, "No." So that's that'll be a separate project.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I think well, Chris, me and Chris sort of we intersect at nice places, but we do have very different tastes in terms of sort of fantasy stuff. Chris is very into Lord of the Rings. It's sacrilege to say that I wasn't, but I am. But my sort of favourite things were always, I guess, the more traditional stuff. Like I was a big Roald Dahl fan. I was a big Enid Blyton fan, and I guess I liked the silliness of, as we said, sort of Python and those sorts of things. And in terms of writing, I loved the language of, or the use of language of people like P.G. Wodehouse, and so the Jeeves and Wooster stories and those sorts of things. I suppose sort of classic sort of British, silly kind of those sorts of characters, those sorts of bumbling fools and stuff. So I quite liked all that stuff. And then, I mean, back in when I was very little, the slapstick stupidity of things like Tom and Jerry. I mean, those sorts of things, like those classics, I really loved as a kid. So I guess they gave me my sense of humour. So those sorts of things. So we kind of meet and merge together nicely with all those things. But I guess adventures were the things that we really enjoyed.
Of course.
And the scale of those big adventures, whether it be James and the Giant Peach or the Faraway Tree or those sorts of things. Those were the things that really interested me and made me be like, oh my God, what an amazing world you can escape into. Yeah.
Of course. Okay, so hardcore, deep, penetrating questions. Like you said, this is going to be therapy, right? So let's go super therapeutic. If you had a superpower of your own, what would it be and why? Oh
man, okay. Now you're asking, because that's the ultimate question, isn't it? If you were able to choose a superpower, what are you going to do? Are you going to go for one of the classics? Are you going to want to be invisible?
Right.
Which I think, if someone chooses invisibility, when they're asked that question, you should always be a little bit suspicious of them.
Very much so. Or
similarly,
they need a hug.
X-ray vision, similarly.
Yeah.
X-ray vision, no, you got to go stand in the corner. Immediately, you're in trouble. Yeah.
Creepy.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I think one of the things I find most annoying is when there's a clock in a public square, like a town square or something, and it's not telling the right time. So I think my superpower would be I can immediately set any clock to the correct time. My superhero name is Tempest. And
I like it.
It's not it's not Wolverine.
Right.
It's not necessarily Captain Marvel, but it's a useful public service, and that's the British way.
No, I like that.
Yeah, I think I'm often hungry and often too tired to cook, so I would be the dinner man, and obviously I'd have a theme tune which was dinner man. And
so we're just gonna get sued by everybody now. Like that's just
bring it on. See him in court. I mean, the courts are full because of COVID anyway, so we're not going to be having a trial for years, so we're fine. So yeah, and my power would be to summon any food at any point very quickly. So Victor, what's your favorite meal?
My favorite meal of the day is definitely breakfast. So give me
what would you have?
I need like a serious bowl of cereal with mini marshmallows in it.
Boom! Right, I'd click my fingers and it would just be there.
Best friend status for life right now. Yeah.
I think that's right. It will win you friends. You'll never go hungry. I mean, you might have to watch your weight. As dinner man, I think I might have to watch my weight, because I would sort of, I would have, if I was out of control, I'd just be eating all day. But right. I think that's what I go for.
Meatballs, please, Greg.
Right.
Boom! Bang!
Oh.
Or you could throw out the weakness that you can only produce dinner foods. How about that? Since it's dinner man, you can only do dinner foods, or you can only do it around dinner time.
Okay, well, I'm going to change my power. I'll become the egg man, because I wouldn't be able to live. I wouldn't be able to live without breakfast eggs or brunch. So I'm now the egg man.
I like
it.
Breakfast.
Egg James.
I like that. I think if I had one, it would be to instantly know everything about a book by smelling it. So yeah. I like the smell of an old right?
book. Yeah,
this smells excellent. Victor.
Yes.
Oh, really good.
Kid normal style.
It needs to be better, more well traveled. This, doesn't it?
Yeah. You need more pages bent. The whole nine.
Yeah. There's not enough memories in this just yet. It needs to when it goes sort of brown and crispy. That's what you want.
I love it. Now, when you guys do your presentations, one of the things that you are so keen at doing are live off the cuff stories. And I want to give you guys an opportunity to kind of flex those muscles in this virtual space, if you don't mind. So I've got my cool idea cards handy, and it's 27 different themes here. So they're all different themes. We don't know what we're going to get. I'm going to pull 2 of them, and I'm just going to lob them at you and see what you guys think. What do you got? You ready?
Yeah, this is great, because this is what we do with school kids. We do a thing where we get them up on the stage and we create an improvised story there and then, and that's so hopefully we have sort of prompts and stuff, and we say pick a lair where the bad guy lives, and who give us a superhero's power or give us a supervillain. So this is exactly
this is awesome. So, I have seen that lair picker. That is one of the most brilliant pieces of technology I've ever seen. I just want you to know that. Okay, so
Chris knocked that up in a Saturday afternoon, didn't you? Just sort of made it.
I love that.
It's basically a toy fruit machine with stickers on. Yeah, I don't have it here. Oh, but it's.
I love that thing.
Fun.
Okay, so your 2 themes are first day out and betrayal.
Wow. Okay.
Wow. A lot of room there.
First day out, like what? Like first day out after lockdown, or like first day
Let's do first day out after lockdown.
There we go.
First day out after lockdown and betrayal, Greg.
Wow, betrayal. Yeah. First day out of lockdown, betrayal.
So it's a story about a rabbit, because just because I just like rabbits. So that's going in there. So the rabbits have been in lockdown in their hole. And
I think the main rabbit character was given something to look after at the start of Rabbit Lockdown.
What's his name, Greg? What's his name?
Well, should we go for Alan?
He's Alan Rabbit. Yeah, okay. He's our favourite rabbit. He's Alan Rabbit, who occasionally.
And what could Alan have? What could he have been given to guard?
So
maybe
he's been given to guard the rabbit Infinity Stone, stone of lettuce, and it's a beautiful green stone. And whoever possesses the rabbit Infinity Stone will have unlimited supplies of lettuce and all other salad vegetables.
Unlimited lettuce.
Yes.
Wow.
Genius.
Alan Rabbit has been told that that lockdown is over, so he hops out of his rabbit hole into the field, Greg, bearing the Infinity Stone of lettuce, but he's been betrayed.
Yes. Right. So yeah, Alan Rabbit. He's hopped out. He's been betrayed. He was actually. It was actually his very sneaky friend, Cedric the Sloth. Cedric the Sloth had actually creepily slothed his way into Alan's warren, because that's where rabbits live, in a warren. And he had, in the dead of night, while everyone was under its very strict lockdown, he'd gone in there and he had switched it for a fake a fake lettuce.
Oh no!
Yeah. And he managed to smuggle the real one out of there, and he has taken it and sold it
to a local greengrocer, who's an evil greengrocer.
Right.
Yeah.
And he then clicks his fingers, and all the other lettuce in all the other greengrocers in London disappears.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Wow.
So he's the only man that has salad in the whole of London. So he becomes very rich, and that is the end of part one.
That was
hopefully
brilliant.
there's a rabbit end game.
Yes.
Where, everything is right.
Oh my God, that was brilliant. I would literally spend 2.5 hours watching that happen.
Well, if
that was
J.J. Abrams
absolutely
is
amazing.
watching,
Let's make that look. See, you might have infringed on a few things, but you're giving. You're like Pixar, Disney. Let's go. Tribute. That's what I meant. That was the word. I needed my thesaurus. Tribute. Tributized, if you will.
We have a book of ideas that we'll never do, or titles that we never do, but they sometimes make us laugh because we write down stupid titles. Is it there? Well, yeah. I think, Chris, we should read out some of the ones that never quite made it, and maybe we put down Alan Rabbit and Cedric the Sloth in there, and the evil greengrocer. Maybe we put them in there. So go on, read Victor. This is an exclusive for you, Victor. These are some of the ideas that when we're feeling a bit frustrated, we just kind of write down the silliest thing. So here's some ideas for children's books that we'll never write.
Sand monkey, fire penguin, bus dog.
No, don't talk about Bus Dog, because I want to make Bus Dog into a picture book. I think
we wrote down Bus Dog, a dog driving a bus, and I've actually drawn the cover there. And then we thought, maybe one day we will write the story of Bus Dog. So that could be an exclusive.
There was another story which we had, which was we were workshopping, called "Stop, That's Not My Nan," and there was another one called the Fart Banana. And what else was there? Can you remember any of the scripts?
Fart Banana is my daughter's superhero name, so we're gonna yeah.
Fine. Well, she gets she's in the film.
Before we get out of here, guys, is there anything that you want to share? Really quick, little word of advice to any aspiring writers out there.
Oh, sure, Chris, give us your big tip.
This is a job you can do. It can feel a little bit scary to get started and get the idea in your head onto a bit of paper. Just start really small. The way we started writing Kid Normal was we said, we'll do 100 words a day. You can do that in like 10 minutes before bed. But just make yourself do it Monday to Friday and get yourself in the habit. And then you haven't got a blank piece of paper anymore. You've got the beginning of a story. Give your character a name, make them do something, and then you start to see them in your head. But don't be scared of doing it. It's fun.
Yeah, it should always be fun. And I would just add to that also that you have to read in order to be able to write properly. And I think, and I mean that in the simplest term, as in everyone who's ever written or created anything only could do so by reading and absorbing other stuff. So you are a product of everything you've ever consumed, whether it be a brilliant film or an amazing play that you saw, or a brilliant bit of writing, or a little poem or something. You all don't ever be scared of, honorably copying something. I think
there you go.
That's without getting into legal disputes. I think you have to be inspired by stuff. So whether it's what Chris read earlier from the Star Wars screenplay, that's you're inspired by everything that you consume. So
that's right.
Just absorb the world, and then you can write about your own world.
Oh God, George Lucas nicked it all from Seven Samurai in the first place, right?
I mean, we all know that.
Why all this slander?
No, not slander. No, it's acknowledgement. It is tribute. It is a hat tip, wink, and a nod. Like it's all of it, all at once.
If I was a lawyer, I would just say the word "nicked" was slightly problematic. I would say.
Well, thank you guys for sharing your time and talent. A special shout out to New York Comic Con for bringing us together. Remember, you guys can purchase copies of Kid Normal series with the links down below. I'm Victor Dandridge, the hardest working man in comics, saying thank you to all the fans tuning in. You guys have a great one.
Thank you so much.